Hey guys, it's your favorite sisters here with the Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver podcast. On the show, you'll hear caregivers confessing the good, the bad, and the completely unexpected. You're guaranteed to relate, be inspired, leave with helpful tips and resources, and of course, laugh. Today's episode is part of our special series, Heroes Caring for Heroes. We're partnering with the Fisher House Foundation to highlight our brothers and sisters in care who are courageously sharing their caregiving journey for both the seen and unseen scars of military life and war. Now, let's jump right in to today's hero confession. You make me feel like dancing.
I knew. I want to dance the night away.
You make me feel. I'm sorry. We were singing this before we started.
I know.
And having a very thorough conversation
About the lyrics.
Yeah. And honestly, it's just overrated to have the right words. But we're here for a podcast today.
We are.
And this is a very special series.
It is. We're not going to dance.
We're not going to dance, but this is the Heroes Caring for Heroes series, which recognizes our active duty service members and veteran caregivers of these individuals. And today we have an amazing guest. Wait, before I even get to the guest,
That's
I also
exactly right.
want to recognize CVS Health. I want to recognize Tina.
That's exactly
They are
right.
our leading incontinence brand, who is also supporting this program, and Care Forward also.
Yeah.
And so we've got a couple of folks that are helping to bring this to everybody. But I want to get to our guest today because
I'm ready.
This gentleman is quite, well, he is quite the person. And so now he's looking at me. Now everybody's going to see your face, Tom, because this is recorded on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
You got to be
So you're going to have to
smiling.
pretend like you're like, oh, those sisters.
I love them.
Those so
Oh,
they're the
yes.
sisters always wanted.
So I will say this caregiver is taking care of his son,
I
and I
love
think they've got a bachelor pad. I'm not sure.
I'm going to tell you, it's nothing
it's
but a good
bachelor
time
pad,
at their
so
house.
I know. So let me tell you, we have got Thom Deleuw with us today, and I'm going to say I don't even know where to start. We asked caregivers to send us a little background and their story. I'm pretty sure, Tom, that you've got a book. Like, you need to write a book because
Oh, my God, it's so funny.
he's got a story. So Thom was raised in a middle-class family. He joined the Army after high school, and he spent 34 years in law enforcement. And there you go. I mean, that's his
But
story.
it's so much fun.
I know. So, but in that story, he said something. He said, the night Jack was born was the night I found out why I was put on this earth. That's his son, Jack.
I love that sentence.
I
It
know.
made me very emotional after having met Tom, and I thought, oh, Tom's sweet.
I know. That's really sweet. And so that was in 1994. In 2022, Thom became the full-time caregiver for Jack, who, while stationed at Fort Bragg, suffered a motorcycle crash that left him paralyzed from the waist down. So how did
Sternum.
Thom? What's sternum?
Sternum down.
Oh, sternum down. I'm sorry. So how did Thom prepare for this? He took online courses, which I love, to find out all the expectations and all of the things that were afforded to him through the VA Caregiver Support Program. He used them as well. So today, Thom says being a full-time caregiver for someone in a wheelchair is a lot of work, but it doesn't seem so bad when you're doing it and taking care of someone that you love so much. It's just kind of a willing obligation.
I love willing obligation. When you wrote that, Tom, it was I thought a willing obligation. I love it. It's a true thing because you can have an obligation but you're willing to do that obligation. And so I love that. Tom, thank you so much for being on the show with us. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Oh, awesome. So we've been chit-chatting with Tom for quite some time, and he is quite the character. So we're all going to try to be on our A game for this one, guys.
Yes.
So because Tom is unbelievably hilarious, and we've been working this morning to get this started, and Jack has been even helping. Now, you call Jack Dugan. And
Yes.
so
Okay.
Jack is your son, and who you care for and who is in the military.
We're waiting for the test to come back.
Yeah, of course. So I knew that was coming.
I know.
But I mean, if you, and for our viewers and listeners, when you see these photos, there's there's no denying this is a father and son dynamic.
Absolutely.
So Thom, why don't we start from the beginning? Tell us a little bit about your history, a little bit about a family history, kind of go through life, and then bring us up to Jack.
Okay, well, I mean, my parents were from Massachusetts. My older sister and brother were born in Massachusetts. Then they moved to Virginia, and that's where me and my little sister were born. Yeah. So we lived there till I was 9. My dad was in sales. My mom was a homekeeper. We moved to Florida for 2 years, and then we came back to North Carolina. And that's where I went to junior high school and then high school. And I wanted to be a police officer, but I didn't want to be a police cadet and just take reports and wash cards. So until I was 18, so until I was 21, I just didn't want to do that. So I joined the Army. So I joined the Army as a military and went in as a military policeman.
Okay.
In 1973, I went in. And then in 74, I got sent to Berlin, Germany. West Berlin, that was where still the wall up. And that was awesome. Awesome. I mean, then, but 19 years old in Germany. That was great.
I'd say that was you were nothing but trouble, but keep going.
But then I was fortunate that I played in the golf tournament, and I did real well in the golf tournament. And this is where all the draftees were getting out. And there were draftees working at the golf course. So I went from being an MP, and the W4 offered me a job as giving lessons. So I worked at the golf course and then played golf all around Europe for the next 2.5 years.
No kidding.
It was tough.
Awesome.
It was tough.
That's terrible for you.
So, but I, a strong moral character that I have. So I got out of the Army. I should have stayed in, but I got out of the Army, and I came home, went to college for a year at Elon, and then I turned pro. I turned teaching pro in Greensboro, North Carolina.
So you were sort of good at golf, not like putt-putt.
Oh, no, real golf.
Oh, hold on. Because I mean, I'm pretty good at the miniature golf down in Myrtle Beach. But anyway,
I'm sure you are.
Thank you. So did you? Sidebar here. Did you play in high school, or when did you pick up golf? I'm just kind of general, not remotely.
I played football. I played football, basketball, baseball. I was a pitcher. I loved baseball. My junior year, and during the summer ball, I threw my arm out, and we didn't have the money or insurance to get my elbow fixed. Yeah. So my senior year, I just played golf.
Oh.
And I mean, I played golf since I was 6. My family were golfers.
Okay.
And so it just got good to me. I played my senior year and could have gone on with it, but I just wanted to be a policeman.
Yeah. Okay. So you went into so you were actually a policeman in Virginia. Is that right? For a window of time?
When I got out and golf didn't work out, I played in the golf tournament up in Virginia. And so I went back up to Virginia Beach, and I was staying with some friends, and they said, I guess they wanted me out of the house because they said, well, what are you going to do?
It's time to grow up.
So, and I said, well, I wanted to be a policeman. And they said, and so one of the girls said, well, Portsmouth is hiring. And I said, well, what's a Portsmouth? And it's just a little town across the river.
That's right. Yeah.
So I went over there and applied one day, and about a week later, they hired me.
I bet they did. P-Town's a good place to work there if you want to cut your teeth into policing. So having lived there.
Yeah, you talked about High Point earlier.
Yeah.
Portsmouth was fun.
So you were there for a couple of years. You get injured. And so
I get hurt, and my mom wanted me to come home.
Okay.
So I went home.
Yeah. And so
there.
And then you're moving right along. Yeah. And at some point you go back. You went back in the military for a window of time.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it was after Portsmouth.
Yeah.
You think, things. Yeah, that's right. After Portsmouth, when I left, I went back in the military because it was in 81.
Yeah.
And I went back in for 3 years.
That's so interesting. JJ and I were talking about that. Like, I don't know of many people that go out and then they're like, oh, I'll just come back for a while. Yeah. And so I thought that was really interesting. And then you went on to a full-time position in High Point, right? You left and went into policing. That's where you met. When
I got out of the Army in 84, I went back and I got hired with the High Point Police.
Yeah.
And that's where it started my North Carolina career.
Yeah.
And that's where you were an officer for over 34 years, right?
34 years. Yes, ma'am.
See, look at that.
Wow. That was good. You have a good memory.
I do have a good memory.
I worked in several agencies. I worked High Point, and I worked in Wilmington for 8 years. Then I worked down towards Charlotte. So I've been, and I finally retired down to Elon.
Tom, are other people in your family members of the military? Is that what
my older brother was Army, and then he was in Vietnam. My older sister's husband was in the Army, but he was an officer. He didn't count. He was in Vietnam. He never saw combat. Then my dad was Coast Guard Reserve during World War II. But,
So there's service in your all's family.
Yeah.
There is service, part of service.
The really cool thing was when Dugan was 9 years old, he just, he was going in the Army.
At
He didn't want to be like Dad and Uncle Dan. So,
well, but
so
this speaks to the because I know that you met your ex-wife because she was also an officer. And then you all had Jack, who, again, Dugan. And, but going back to what JJ, you said when we introduced, it was the day he was born, it was just like, that's your person. Like, I love that. And then, that's what I think about. Like you said, hey, Jack's been your person. And I see it in the images that we'll be sharing of him growing up with you guys. So tell us about that. Like Jack decided at 9, after I'm sure hearing you and your brother and other family members talking about that service. Why do you think that was the primary piece that he just wanted to because of everybody else? I love this.
Well, I think so. I mean, he was, from the time he was born, he was either on my arm or on my shoulders. I mean, he didn't learn to walk till he was 4. No. He was my baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I took care of him. I mean, Beth didn't have to do anything really. I mean, she just loved it because I carried him everywhere. I mean, he was mine. I mean, I used to play softball and played a lot of golf. And when he came along, I just waited till he was old enough to swing a golf club. And I'd get off work and it was us. I mean, we were just
your best buds. I love that. And so life is moving along. And I know that you got divorced at one point, and so it was you and Jack. And you and I feel like it's Tom and Jack against the world, to be honest.
I do.
Like, I think that you guys had the most. I just see you guys having lots of fun together because I get a sense of your relationship that way from the conversations we've had. So Jack graduates from high school and immediately enlists. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. He did ROTC, NJROTC all 4 years and loved it. If it wasn't for that and lacrosse, he probably wouldn't have gone to school. He just loved those 2 classes.
How did you feel?
Lacrosse wasn't a class.
Yeah, that's right.
But
how did you feel when he said,
there's a funny lacrosse story, but I'm not going to.
Oh, probably a good idea.
Well, you said it was a clean show.
Yeah.
It wasn't really. It was just striking. But anyway, he graduated in June, and in July he was in the Army, and in following April or May he was in Afghanistan. So he went in quick and got there early.
Yeah. I guess my question is, you had a good idea, especially with your brother being in Vietnam. You had a good idea of what he was getting into. You've been in the military as well. What are your thoughts when he says, I'm going in, and then he gets sent to Afghanistan? What are you thinking as a dad? And he's your best friend, basically.
I couldn't have been more proud. I'm such a sissy.
No.
No, I couldn't have been more proud. He was my kid. And his mother had him from 4.5 until he was 12. Then he came to live with me.
Yeah.
And I was a policeman. I was a firearms instructor, taught rapid deployment active shooter, which more officers need to take. And he just loved it. Everything I did, he came with me. When I worked off-duty ball games, he'd come and sit with the cheerleaders because he was a cute little kid.
He was cute. I can verify that. He was very cute.
Yeah, but so he had a good time. He had a good time with Dad, and so everywhere I went, he went.
Well, and I know that, and then you guys were separated because I know when he went in, he did tours abroad, and then he got injured, and he didn't get injured in combat. He actually got injured while at home, and he had a motorcycle accident, and this was the first of two.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and that, I think, would you say that was your first stint as being, that you would say, I was a formal caregiver for him at that point? Because you have to think about being a parent and caring versus I have a child that is injured and they need extra. I've got to do extra support. I'm having to do extra things, if that makes sense.
Well, it does. But it really wasn't that bad then, because what happened is they had been out in the field, and then they had a bunch of guys get together with their families, and they had a big get together at a dance club, not a dance club, but Texas.
Yeah.
A what? Dance hall. And so it was late. It was late. It was like 2:30 in the morning. Everybody was leaving. He was on his motorcycle, and he was just off the backside of Fort Hood, Texas. Mm-hmm. And so he was just going back to the base, and he came upon a herd of cattle out meandering around in the road.
Yep.
And so he thought he was looking at him. He was coming up on him, and then he saw on the left-hand side of the road, he saw took a hole shot, and a 1,800-pound steer just stepped out in front of him.
Wow.
And he hit it right behind the left front leg. Wow. And went about halfway through it.
Wow. And
I killed the cow, and it shattered both his forearms, and he got a real bad TBI. Mm. And they wanted to put him out, but he thought he wanted to stay in. Yeah. So he had 2 years of getting his arms fixed, 2 years of rehabilitation. And that's where the night it happened, the next morning, his first sergeant called me and said, this is First Sergeant. I can't remember his name now. He says, your son's been in an accident. I said, oh, what happened? He says, well, he hit a cow. And then I said, yeah, okay, here we go. Yeah, somebody's playing with me.
Yeah.
And then he reaffirmed. And so I was packing for a job, I was doing construction work, and I just started repacking. And he said, we've talked to the Red Cross. We're going to get you out of here. Wow. So I got out there to Texas that night, and went and saw him in the hospital, and there's my son in a coma.
Mm. So that has to be one of the worst experiences of your life.
Yeah. He I don't think I left the room except to go to the bathroom for like 3 days. I just sat on the chair next to him, just rubbing his one arm was already cast, but the other arm, they didn't know he'd broken it. And so I just sat there just rubbing his arm, just crying. It was terrible.
No, it was.
That was his first time he scared me.
Yeah. Did you, I believe you had shared with me, was that the time that you stayed at the Fisher House during that?
Yes, ma'am. That place, the Red Cross hooked us up with them. We're right now we're up in Fort Hood. Then after 11 days, he started coming out of coma. So they moved him down to San Antonio. He was stable to move. When that's when they got us down there, they just hooked us up at Fisher House. And the Red Cross had been paying for our hotel room. I mean, the Red Cross is a wonderful thing.
Yep.
Or the Red Cross.
Yep. Well, and just for our audience who's new to the Fisher House, they're like the Ronald McDonald for military. Exactly. That's the easiest way to say it. And they have they'll be opening their 100th Fisher House this year.
Right.
And they are, Fisher Houses are on military bases and near military hospitals to support families and who are connected to the military, and while they're receiving treatments. So
it's a phenomenal organization. Those guys. I mean, I couldn't have afforded to stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
So Jay, I think we need to take a break just 1 second, and we'll be right back.
All right, we're back here with Thom, and we've gotten to a pivotal point because Jack has had his first motorcycle accident. Thom's been at Fisher House, but Jack heals. He's got 2 years of rehab, and he
gets back to active duty.
I know, he gets back to
active duty. And what does Jack do in his first? What is he reassigned to?
He was a cavalry scout, a ground cavalry scout. He was a leg, that went jumping out of airplanes, but he had been to. Just before the accident, in another month, he was going to come back to Fort Bragg because he had been to jump school, airborne. He was airborne.
Yeah.
Just
So
jumping
he,
out of airplanes.
so
Yeah.
you know, he gets a lawyer, and he had to go through 2 other med boards, take a bunch of PT tests, cognitive skills tests, and they let him stay in.
Yeah.
So
Because Jack loves the military.
I'm sorry.
Jack loves the military.
Yeah, and he still wishes he was in, but anyway. But so he comes back to Fort Hood or Fort Bragg, and starts jumping out of airplanes.
That was the part that I really liked, and I wanted our listeners and viewers to be able to get a sense of that. Jack is a unique character, which I think is an extension of Thom.
Yes, I do.
Honestly. And he gets a lot from his dad. And but he's fearless in that. And I think about a lot of our service members who are just they give so much, and they're fearless in that. And Jack's not going to stop living, because Jack still has a motorcycle. And so years go down the road. So let's jump to the next scenario. So life gets back into normal. Would you say that's right, Thom?
Yeah. He came down to Fort Bragg. He met a girl. Mm-hmm. She moved in. They were going to get married. And then he had this second accident. He's jumping out of airplanes. He had 35 jumps before he got hurt. Yeah. And loved jumping out of airplanes. Loved being a Cab Scout. Loved the Army stuff.
Yeah.
And then when this accident happened, it was really ironic because his fiance was going through. She was going to be an occupational therapist. And so, this was perfect. And she told me when we first saw her that when I came down to see him, and she said that I'm staying with him. I love him. Awesome. I said, that's a lot of work.
Well, he had another accident, right? He had a motorcycle accident. So.
Yeah, he came down here. He went out, drove his motorcycle out to have dinner. Then he went to the store where his fiance worked, talked to her, said, I'm going to go home and play with the dogs. And so he left there. He was just meandering. He's, like I say, he's an excellent motorcycle rider. And he knew not to get tickets. He's never gotten a ticket. So he's just meandering down 50-mile-an-hour road, and old man backs out of a driveway in front of him. And he forces him off the road to the left. He goes into a ditch, went butt over tea kettle, landed on the back of his neck and head and shoulders, and his T7 vertebrae burst right up between his shoulder blades. And from there, he was paralyzed from the sternum down. Surgery went great. It didn't sever his spinal cord, but the surgery went great. They fused the 6 and the 8, and now they're just waiting. They said he should, because he's young. He said he could walk again, but it's hard to say whether the nerves reconnect or what.
Yeah. So
we're like, so that's the second phone call that you get, and you're like, so what happens with that call? I'm kind of curious. Are you thinking he's going to be fine? I've got no worries this time because he was fine. He's healed up. So from the first one, what are you thinking with this one, Jack? I'm taking your motorcycle, or how's this working?
He's a grown man.
Yeah.
I want him to. I can't take away from him what I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I still have a bike.
Yeah.
So my older sister asked me, she says, well, are you going to get rid of your bike now? I said, I didn't wreck my bike.
That's true.
But with that phone call, I mean, what is your mindset there? Are you thinking, he's going to heal up fine? Is that kind of what your future is looking like?
Well, that's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got the phone call, and then when I came down, I found out the extent of the injuries and spoke to the doctors and found out everything. So it's just a day-to-day thing. I mean, he goes to the Richmond VA where the spinal place is. Mm-hmm. And, one doctor will say, well, you are where you are. And then the other doctors, well, no, we have hope.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he has volunteered to go anywhere to do stems. He'll throw his body at it. He just says, I just want to walk again.
Well, and that's understandable.
He says, I'm not done.
Yeah. Well, and I definitely think he's not done. Yeah. I think he's doing lots of great things though. So I think, so he's got the fiance, and you had mentioned this just a second ago, and that they were together for a year. She said she was going to stick with it, and then she decided this is not for me.
Yeah. Well, she wanted to further her career. She was managing a Walgreens and wanted to do this other stuff, and she was reservist. Mm. So she went back to schools and did what she's done, and she's off, doing her thing, and good for her.
Yeah.
But
somebody has to help Dugan, right?
I'm sorry?
Somebody has to help Dugan though. At this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
she's leaving. And what's the conversation with you guys?
Well, I could see the thing, because I'd come down and see him whenever I could. And I could just see that there just wasn't anything there. It's just, I just felt through to him because, he's wondering, what's going to happen? Who's going to take care of me?
Yeah.
Or who's going to help me out, not take care of him, but who's going to help him out? So the one time I came down, I was coming out of the shower, and she's standing in the hallway, and she just says, "We need to talk." And I just looked down, I said, "When are you leaving?" And that kind of caught her off guard. But then she just says, "I just can't do it." I said, it doesn't, whatever you have to do, you go ahead and do it. But I said, "Can you give me until March so I can quit work?" Because I was doing construction now. And she said, "Well, yeah." So I went to work and called my boss and said, "I'm out of here end of the month." I said, "I got to go down and take care of Dugan." Everybody knew him. They just said, you got to do that. Yeah. So
it was never a second. You're just like, done. No thought about it. No hiring anybody else to help. Nothing like that. You're like, no, I'm going. Done.
No, because the things that had to be done with him, some of his medical treatments and stuff, I wouldn't want anybody else doing that to my son.
Yeah.
When he was in the hospital, the nurse would come in and say, "Jack, have you had your shower?" He said, "Well, I'll be right back to help you with your shower." And I said, "I'll do this.
Yeah.
I got that." Because then he just looked at me and said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Well, you're not going to wash him as good as I will."
I've been watching for a long time.
I love you for all those reasons. I think, so you guys move in, and how does it go as you expect? Like so now you're going into the full-time caregiver role with him. And I very much see this. I appreciate that you said, "I don't take care of him. I support him. I help him where he needs help." Because a lot of people, and my husband would be the same way, would be like, "I just need you to help me. I don't want you to take care of me," because there's a different connotation to that. Even though the definition is still there, right. I want to empower the person that I'm helping, caring for. I want them to feel like they can do things. Because I'm assuming you don't do everything for Jack. I think that he does some of his own things. He's independent in that sense. How did you all find that balance?
He won't let me. A lot of stuff and then I get ticked off at him because I said, "Dude, I'll get that." He goes, "I got it, Dad." It's just this stuff like, doing dishes because the counters are high and, he's in the wheelchair. So he says, "I got it." And he's very proud. He's you're not going to push him around. And in all the cycling he does, the Wounded Warriors and Valor Games, all this stuff.
Yeah.
From what he's got control of, he is a hoss. He's got arms. You don't want to grab him because he'll pull you down into that wheelchair. But he's a very prideful kid, and just he does everything he can. But there's just some stuff he can't.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just here for that. And I guess you're going to ask about the caregivers thing, how I got into that and stuff.
Yeah.
So people keep on. Yeah, I got down here, and I don't know how I got involved with I think Dugan might have said something to me about caregivers, being a caregiver. So I called the caregiver number and talked to them, and a young lady just helped me out. They turned me on to this. You have to take this course. You have to read a bunch of stuff, watch videos, and then take tests. A couple of tests you have to take. Then they sign you up. They send you a letter that allows you to go into the on base and go to the PX.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great organization. They help you out financially if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of support there. Probably 3-4 times a week, they'll send an email, offering you to listen in on moral support, financial support classes. They're all the time trying to help you if you want the help or if you need the help.
Yeah, and this is the the Veterans Caregiver Support.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: so you move in. How long have you and Dugan lived together in this relationship?
Oh, here, I moved in here March of 22.
So you guys are a little over 2 years, and what would you say is the challenging part? And when I say that, for example, a challenging part for JJ and I and our younger sister Emily is the relationship, trying to maintain our relationship with our mom as daughters, and try not to be, and because we've seen a role reversal with our mom, for example. Now, mind you, you're the parent and he's the son, so there's that. And I don't know if you ever pull that card on him, like, I'm your dad. Like, how does that roll, like, between caregiver and dad?
Well, I really don't look, I don't even think about the caregiver thing. I mean, I'm here with him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like back in high school, except now he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But he's independent. He's been his own man. He's been to war. He's he's got all his own stuff. He's grown up.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I got to say, I feel like more of a friend than a father. I said, why do you make me be a dad? Why can't you let's just get along? What? Because we're both stubborn as crap. I mean, we are.
I am shocked by that.
I know, I am too.
I know. A lot of people are. Like, you got to hang around us and get to know us.
Yeah, really. So.
But that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. But I think I'm assuming you all still have normal, like, frustrations with each other. And sometimes you get, everybody needs to go to their separate corner. I do that even with my own husband when he was sick.
We do that with mom.
I do that with mom. We do it with our mom.
Yeah.
And I think that's normal. So, I think, I think before I go into this, I'm going to take a break real quick.
Yes.
I'm actually going to take a break real quick because we were late on our last one. So we'll be right back.
All right, everybody. We are back here with Thom, and we're getting into some stuff. So Thom and Jack, they're doing great. They are living together. They've been living together since 2022.
That's right.
But we want to talk about, is there any, like, frustrating moments? Like, because first of all, it's, your parent role. But then secondly, you guys are living together. Like, I remember I moved back in with mom and dad for a short period of time as an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me are there frustrating times for you guys?
Not really. I mean, I guess if I were younger, it would make a difference because I would probably want more of a social life.
Mm-hmm.
But now that at my age, this is me. This is what I do. And I get not frustrated. I don't think that's the correct word because that makes it sound like a big deal.
Yeah.
Is like I said, I've got this new motorcycle and I just don't get to ride it because I'm in Fayetteville and there's just not a good place around here to ride because we used to go to the mountains all the time. So, I don't ride, but we shoot. We do a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of cycling. And, we have a few places that we like to go have a friendship.
Otherwise known as bars. We can say that it's totally appropriate. It's totally appropriate. It's not a wordy dirt.
So
okay. We got some really good bars.
So I'm going to ask you a hard question. At least it's a hard thing for me to talk about with my mom. I get, I look at the life that could have been, and I do get frustrated about my mom. Like, I'm like, when you said about riding motorcycles, like, I always think about the things I wanted to do with my mom. And now that she has Parkinson's and we can't get out a lot, what crosses your mind when you think about, I want Dugan and I to go on motorcycle rides? How do you deal with those things, Thom? Do you think about that frequently, or?
Well, we still try to do. There's a lot of things we want to do. And, we wanted to do the Four Corners on motorcycles.
Yeah.
And, we always talked about a lot of trips. But he was in the Army, and to take a good trip, he couldn't take enough leave.
Right.
So, but now it's just, he's busy with, with cycling and stuff like that. But, like, we want to go to Biltmore. And then now this terrible hurricane thing went through Biltmore.
Mm-hmm.
There's things we want to do and places we want to go because and he is so funny about being in the wheelchair. I mean, a lot of people just get set back because of things he'll say. Excuse me. He said, hey, if I'm in your way, just push me out of the way. Roll me out of the way. And he's just, I don't know. He's an idiot. I don't know.
Well, you know what? He makes it comfortable. Like it's his way of making it comfortable for him.
Yeah.
Like, because it can be very comfortable.
He tries to make it comfortable for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's like, he uses humor to get through anything that feels like might be discomfort. Like, oh, just roll me out of the way. And people laugh and they're like, oh, okay, he's fine. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's got a sense of humor. I think I love that you guys have found and established what looks like and seems like your new normal. And so my question to you, and this one's a bit tougher, is that I don't know if you know this, but you're not a spring chicken. I know.
What? A puppy.
I know.
He's not a puppy.
He's not a puppy, although they do have a puppy. Do you worry about, and this is like parents who take care of children who have disabilities and things like that. Do you worry about Dugan's future when you're not around? And how have you all thought about planning for if something happens not that you pass, but something happens where you couldn't be able to care for him? How do you all think about those conversations?
Well, I don't know if he thinks about it because we're open with most things, but there's some things we keep private. I worry more about it than I'm sure he does. I mean, I still get around good. I'm okay. I get, back pains from wearing a police belt for 34 years and stuff like that. But I do worry. I mean, because the things that, certain procedures have to be done, but see, he's taking care of that, one of them. But I just don't want everybody else to take care of my son. Yeah. I'm not, and someone's going to have to one day. If he doesn't get to walking, someone's going to have to step in. So,
and would you say that you're planned for that now? Do you feel like have you planned for that for now, or you're still a little avoidant personality?
Yeah. I'm avoiding it. That's one of those things I'm going to contact caregivers because, like I said, there's all kinds of support programs they have. And it'd be as simple as somebody, because Dugan can do for himself, but I just look at if he were to fall out of his wheelchair and get wedged in somewhere. And, it's stuff like that. And that's the reason I don't just take off and go on my days. If he says go somewhere, and I just don't go because what if something happens? But that's me.
Yeah. So, but you also ridiculously love your son. And I think that, and when I say ridiculously, I mean that in the kindest sense. Like the level of unconditional love that you have for him is, and it's not obligation. I like how you say it's willing obligation, but the more we talk, the more I'm like, it's like second nature. So,
well, what's that old country song? You'll always be my baby.
Yeah. So
when that song was out, he didn't like it when I'd sing it to his friends, but he'll always be my baby.
I'm sure that went over well. So what would you, for other parents who find themselves in these places, do you have words of advice, tips or tricks, things that you would say to people, to other caregivers? These are things that you're going to feel, and this is okay. What are things that you would tell other people, insights that you've learned over the years?
Well, like you brought up my age. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Just be prepared because, I've got years in front of me, but what's going to happen? You have to have a support group. You have to have other family if you have other family. Yeah. And other than that, I'm just going to have to get with the VA and, okay, if something happens to me, who can my son call to get assistance? Because he does, my older sister's, she's older than I am.
Right.
But she's healthy as she can be. But that's it. My little sister's, she lives her life down in South Carolina, but it's not their position to take care of Dugan. So I don't know. So something that, hopefully he'll find a girl. So.
Oh, we didn't even.
I don't know. It's
dating.
It's something I need to think about that we need to make arrangements for, but I don't know. Just family. Just hopefully you got enough family and extended family that somebody can step in.
I think planning is one of the hardest things, though, Thom. Yeah. Our mom and dad did not plan for them. And our mom has Parkinson's. And so when dad passed at 58, our mom was 57. My dad had planned, they had discussed, and God did not go with that plan, that they assumed she would pass first. and they did not plan that way. And so it was really hard. And I think what I hear you saying is because it's hard. Our parents, nobody wants to talk about it with people because we're talking about death and dying, or we're talking about if I have a serious injury, and they didn't have the POA. They didn't have a lot of things that we needed to support our mom. And so I think I hear you saying, hey guys, make sure that you plan. And I'm saying that to myself, like we're going to have, because it's a difficult, uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
I have,
and that's something that I've, you bringing it up. I mean, it's something I've known that I have to do.
Yeah.
But how do I pick somebody to take care of my son?
Yeah. So. Well, and nobody, and for most caregivers and even the care recipient, if you think about it, I know how I'm going to care for Jason. And, when Jason said to me, hey, Natalie, it seems like this is getting hard for you, because it was hard for me. Maybe we need to call someone else. I was so unbelievably offended. I was so offended. Like, what do you mean? Nobody can take care of you like I can. And then I'm thinking, well, probably better. But because I suck sometimes.
I don't know you that well, but that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that, Tom. I'm glad that we're really like that close. And so Jason would confirm. But the inside of me might be like, yeah, I do need some help. Yeah, I do need some help. And even though but it's hard even on our own ego to let go of some of these tasks. And I know, without you saying it, that it is hard for you to let go of some other tasks. And so I think we would encourage our listeners to, even though if you're the primary caregiver, you got to give yourself a break too. And how do you plan for that?
Yeah.
And that's the truth. I mean, I love my son. We'll have our little trying moments, and I'll be thinking, not just the other couple of days ago, I looked at him and he did something that just ticked me off. And I just looked and I said, call your mother. Make other arrangements, because I'm out.
Yeah. And
it bundles up.
Yeah.
And then, I have a drink and, okay, I'm good.
I've quit several times.
Hard. And it's hard because, sure, you miss out on a lot of stuff. But when you have kids, and then you have issues like this, but you're going to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
Or want to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm where I want to be.
And it is a choice. I hear you saying over and over, it is a choice. And these are the choices you make. And I don't hear anything about like, oh, poor pitiful me. No. I've given up my life for this. It's like, oh, I get to do this. And that's what I hear you saying. And then also saying, and some days it's just hard. Yeah, and then we get over it and we're back to whatever. I can't believe our time's already up, because I love Tom. I know. Well, and we're going to see Tom in D.C. When we record our PBS special, and Jack's going to be there. Dugan. I call him, now it's just Jack and Dugan. Yeah. Where does Dugan come from?
He was born in Wilmington.
Okay. I still don't know what that means.
I know.
It's so pretty. Jack was Beth's dad's name, and we loved him. I loved him, and I wanted to name. And Dugan is an Irish name from my mom's side of the family.
Yeah,
my little sister was Jenny Dugan Deleuw, and so Jack is Jack Dugan Deleuw.
Oh, so Dugan is his middle name.
Dugan's his middle name.
Okay, so I thought
it just sounded like a tough little nut. I mean, Jack Dugan.
It does sound like
that. Yeah,
Jack Reacher.
But then our family called him Dugan, and everybody called him Dugan until his mother and I split up. Then her family started calling him Jack, but she'll still call him Dugan. So.
I like it.
But he's good. He's good with either. He doesn't.
I know it's the same way with us. We actually answer to the dogs' names, so we were so used to it.
Yeah, whatever our mom called us.
Yeah, just whatever. No big deal. You can tell we're good Southerners. It is time for sister questions.
I'm ready.
JJ, Jack, Tom, are you ready?
Go.
Okay. So I read an article about you guys because you're practically famous, and says Jack remains adamant that events like participating in the Warrior Games wouldn't have happened without his father by his side. So my question is, what does Dugan make possible for you? What does he change?
He makes me proud. I mean, he's just the coolest little kid. And, we always joke about if he's really mine, this and that, this and that. And I wouldn't do that being 23 because I don't want to find out I got any more kids. But he's a little me. He's a mini me, which I'm sorry for him. But we people will ask a question, we'll say the same thing at the same time. And he's just a great kid. Everybody loves him. He makes me proud.
I love that. I know. I can't wait to meet you guys. Here's my question, and it won't make you cry. And it has to be a clean answer, Thom. So you're going to really have to think before you speak. And our audience is like, we don't know something. I'm like, trust me.
Y'all are giving people a bad impression of me.
Oh.
Great guy.
I know. What is your favorite guilty pleasure? What is the thing that you do just for yourself? When you have time for yourself, what is the thing that you prefer to do just for yourself?
I don't really have anything anymore since I don't ride my motorcycle anymore. We make plans to go shoot. We love shooting. We have an incredible range down here to shoot at, and then nobody monitors over you. They don't care. So we shoot, go to different we look for old GI bars. We just everything. I don't have it for myself thing anymore. And I don't mean to sound pitiful or anything, but no, it's just hanging out and having fun with him.
Well, and I think it's the piece that your guilty pleasure is that how much you love your shared experience with him.
Yeah.
Like getting to do that with him. And I know that you've talked to me about, going and shooting together or when you're at the Warrior Games. I know those are things that fulfill your bucket because when he's happy, I know you're happy.
Yeah. But yeah, and the Warrior, he loves the Valor Games. They have some Valor Games up around Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. Mm-hmm. And it's it's smaller than the Warrior Games. The Warrior Games is so regimented. It's a great thing they do. With great support that they give these soldiers an out, something to look forward to. And he likes the competition, but he just likes cycling. I can see this. He's just fun to be with. We have so much fun together.
Oh, that's awesome. I love this.
Picking ourselves and picking on everybody else, whether they hear us or not. We have fun.
That's all that matters.
Well, and this is one. Thank you, Thom, for being with us, and thank you for sharing your story with us.
Well, thank you.
I can't wait to get to meet you guys in person, and I can't wait. Definitely, our listeners, you'll have to watch the PBS special because we're interviewing all of our guests, but they're also bringing their loved ones with them, and there'll be special segments, so you'll get to see Dugan and Thom together, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be one good time.
I know.
And so guys, thank you so much for being part of and listening to our Heroes Caring for Heroes series, and sponsored by?
It is sponsored by CVS Health and Tenna, the #1 incontinence brand.
We also have our friends from Care Forward.
Care Forward and Summit Behavioral Healthcare.
And the Fisher House.
And the Fisher House, who we love.
We have lots of people who are supporting the series. And you know what? It's growing year over year. And, there's a lot of other partners that we definitely want to make sure that you listen into the series. Got educational episodes. But you will definitely want to listen in. Thom, thank you again.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much.
Appreciate you.
I look forward to meeting y'all.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, until we confess again, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Well, friends, that's a wrap for today's educational episode. Thank you for listening to our special series, Heroes Caring for Heroes. And don't forget to visit our website to sign up for our monthly newsletter, sign up for the free Sisterhood Advantage Discount Club, and of course, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, and Pinterest. You'll also find the video recording of all our episodes on the Confessions website and our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time when we confess again. Till then, take care of you. Okay, let's talk disclaimers. We are not medical professionals and are not providing any medical advice. If you have medical questions, we recommend that you talk with a medical professional of your choice. As always, my sisters and I at Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver have taken care in selecting the speakers, but the opinions of our speakers are theirs alone. The views and opinions stated in this show are solely those of the contributors and not necessarily those of our distributors or hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted and no part can be reproduced without the express written consent of the Sisterhood of Care, LLC. Thank you for listening to the Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver podcast.